Hello, Arjun. Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful short conversation. How are you doing this?
I'm doing good, Sanskar. I must say that your email got me very intrigued. I sometimes miss such emails, but I think the way you wrote it was really interesting. So that's why I'm happy to be part of this conversation.
Awesome. So, my first question is that what events happened in your life which sort of told you that you should quit your job and start your own startup?
Yeah, look, I think it was bunch of events growing up. It was my family legacy being Ayurveda. It was my grandfather curing me of asthma while growing up. It was me spending time with my grandfather. All of these were sort of micro events at the back of my mind. Macro, it was coming back to India in 2013-14, government changing, Ministry of Ayush created, Patanjali revolution happening. But I think from all of this, right, every entrepreneur has that one aha moment where the switch flips.
Hmm.
And for me, this was my dad's 50th birthday. It was 2016, April. I was giving a speech. This is after my grandfather had passed. My grandfather's clinic was running as a dispensary, but his team, his staff still used to come and prescribe medicine to his old patients, right? And I think I gave a speech on my dad's impact on my life. Um, and after the speech, a bunch of people came up to me and said good speech. And my grandfather's nurse of 17 years came up to me and she said, "Hey, you're talking about your dad and the legacy he's going to leave behind, but are you going to let your grandfather's legacy die?" And at that moment, I said, I'm 24 and a half years old. If I don't take this risk, I'll live the rest of my life thinking, what would have happened? And so that actually pushed me over the line.
So, what was your strategy of getting your first few customers or sort of the go to market strategy?
Look, actually, our first GTM didn't work. We started offline, failed miserably, pivoted to online. And when we pivoted to online, the way for us to understand our customer before even figuring out what the GTM was to speak to every customer. We picked up the phone and asked these people, why did you buy us over Dabur,
Hmm.
Himalaya, Imami, Patanjali, Baidyanath? And we realized that Ayurveda online was not existent and nobody was catering to the Muzaffarnagar, Imphal, Anantnag, Trichy customer. And that customer wanted to be spoken to in vernacular languages, but that customer didn't have access to high quality Ayurvedic products and formulation at the touch of their fingertips. So that's what we set out to solve.
Do you feel that somehow hyper localization, building your products for hyper local communities as we speak, is somehow sometimes better than just going for all of the market all at once?
I think being something for someone rather than being everything for everyone is the way I would answer this question. It's a more generalized way to answer the question, but it means that you mean something to a few people rather than meaning kind of
Hmm.
something to a lot of people, right? And if you think about business in general, customer relationships, I think this is really, really important.
From your journey of starting up, building your startup, and then selling your business, what have you realized that these are some common mistakes or some common things that most of the entrepreneurs do, but they should avoid it?
Yeah, I would say the first one is trying to do everything on your own, um, and thinking that you can work 16 hours a day forever. Reality is you lose efficiency, and compounding only happens with team. Second is entrepreneurship is a rosy, beautiful, chilled out journey, which is not the reality, right? Entrepreneurship has more highs than lows. The highs are so high they may make up for the lows, but you got to fight the lows every single day. And so failure is part and parcel of the process.
Hmm.
And the last one is entrepreneurship is not part time. It's not a hobby. It doesn't start like on nights and weekends and then becomes a full time thing. No, it's full time and has to always be full time.
Right now, with all this startup boom in India, do you feel that somehow it can get sort of overwhelming for someone, let's say right now in college, who wants to do something of their own? But when they see lots of people doing all the things at once, like it can somehow stop them from going forward and doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think forget the startup boom, social media, the access to information, democratization of information, it is very overwhelming, right? And so In general, the amount of information we're bombarded with on a daily basis, even I get distracted. I sometimes wake up in the morning and I'm just reading something, and then I read that, go to something else, and 15 minutes later, I'm like, what
Right.
was I doing in the first place?
Right.
So there is an information overload, and we need to find our ways to deal with it. Is it putting your phone on do not disturb while you're working? Is it cutting out from knowledge, content, and social media after a particular period of time for a particular period of time? The answer I don't have, but there has to be a way to do it.
So, what do you feel sort of drives an entrepreneur? Like, what do you feel if you have this thing, then only you can sort of make it big?
Purpose. Things will get really tough, and there has to be a deep purpose internally that makes you want to fight through tough times. For me, it was taking forward my family's legacy of Ayurveda, right? And it's different for different people. So you got to find what your purpose is that will drive you through the toughest times.
Can making money be someone's purpose? And if it is, can they be successful?
It can be someone's purpose. To me, it seems like it's not a deep enough purpose, but I can't speak for other people. The reality check will come in the first few weeks when, after the first article, nobody will be writing articles about you on a daily basis, right? And then reality will hit, and you'll realize it's much more than just the glamour and the glitz. You're really building a business, right?